The camera pans a cocktail glass behind a blind of plastic plants. Find the lady with the fat diamond ring. Then you know I can't remember a damn thing. I think it's one of those deja vu things, or a dream is trying to tell me something, but will I ever stop thinking about it?
Not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And I'm gonna switch things up. I'm gonna talk about PM Dawn, the rap group, or pop rap, crossover rap, or whatever category you want to put them in. But I was hanging out with my family, and I have a lot of younger members of my family that are into Kid Cudi, you know, or whatever. And I understand now. I've heard of Kid Cudi way back in like 2000, maybe 2014, and I understand that he has a fan base. I understand that Kid Cudi does not make like hardcore trap music talking about destruction. He's one of those in my feelings kind of rappers and so forth. And you know, he makes kind of like this, has this sort of crossover rap sound. And listening to Kid Cudi, I was saying to myself, I'm like, this kind of music, it sounds like PM Dawn. You know, and then I think of Kid Cudi and Drake, Kanye. I like Kanye, and kind of like these other sort of what I call emo rappers, you know, and so forth. That, you know, that sort of cry about women, who kind of want a sort of like a universal crossover sound. That's definitely not into that boom bap and so forth, you know, because real hip hop is dead for mainstream. And I was thinking to us, I'm like, that's PM Dawn. PM Dawn was doing emo rap before there was a such thing as emo rap. Doing this sort of crossover, rapping, and then trying to sing and rap and crying, crooning to women. That's PM Dawn. PM Dawn been doing this kind of music since the late 80s. And and once again proving that the 90s was the best era of hip hop. It was the most original era of hip hop. I dare for you to find an original rapper after what you could say is completely original after the year 1999. Now PM Dawn was sort of now I can't call PM Dawn sellouts, because PM Dawn, that's their whole thing. They didn't start off hardcore and switch up and went soft, and so, you know, that's their whole shit, was to make this sort of, they had songs like, you know, Paper Doll and I Would Die Without You, or I Would Die For You, or whatever that song they did for the Boomerang soundtrack that was real popular. That's PM Dawn. PM Dawn, and the thing is, why PM Dawn was sort of outcast from rap, because, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't hardcore, or they wasn't hip hop enough. They wasn't really about, you know, scratching on records and so forth, and the yo 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 yo, or from what I recall, they don't really use profanity in their raps. Wasn't no gun talk. Now I know that you know what I'm saying, I'm not gonna sell the 90s short. I know that there was a lot of groups that didn't talk about gunplay and stuff like that. You had A Tribe Called Quest, you had De La Soul, you know, Black Sheep, but these rappers still had that hip hop edge. They didn't have a crossover feel. They still was hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like Q-Tip said, on that old style boom bap and so forth. PM Dawn, they wanted to do this sort of universal music. They was like mixing house music in with a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They were like a rap group that didn't want to just be categorized as just as rap. You know, they was like, hey, we're using all kind of other elements in here. And that's like Drake. Drake doesn't want to be categorized as just a rapper. Kendrick Lamar said his music is not just rap and hip hop. You know, Andre 3000 and so forth. And then it brings it back to, and I'm not saying that, I'm like, Andre 3000 is very talented. He's from the 90s, and so he's a trendsetter himself. But, you know, there's no denying PM Dawn was ahead of his time. And then first of all, let me talk about the notorious incident, because I know some of you guys who know PM Dawn, they said, well, what about when KRS-One threw him off the stage? Yeah, I'm like, PM Dawn was never fully accepted in the hardcore hip-hop, hip-hop heads. The type of people that listen to Freddie Fox and Ultramagnetic MCs. Even though Ultramagnetic MCs, they were like big in Europe. They were like pop in Europe. You know what I'm saying? Godfather Don, Nine, OC, Showbiz and AG. Who else? Compton's Most Wanted. That's the real hardcore hip hop acts. But KRS-One BDP bum rush PM Dawn, threw him off stage. Now, bear in mind there was no social media back then. And a lot of people haven't heard of this story until social media arrived. I heard about it, but as a kid hearing about it, I thought KRS-One bum rushed him because they did pop crossover music, and KRS-One was always against, commercial rap, bunch of crap, and so forth. But supposedly Prince B from PM Dawn was running his mouth off in a magazine. It wasn't even a hip hop magazine; it was a Details magazine, and he said disparaging remarks about BDP, Public Enemy, and NWA. And supposedly they said that the interviewer took what they said out of context, which, that wouldn't surprise me and so forth. But PM Dawn getting thrown off the stage, it wasn't the end of their career, because they didn't appeal to that hardcore crowd anyway. They had that pop crowd, and eventually they fell off. And so forth, and it's because basically, pop rap just didn't last back then. Take Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice used to sell out in venues, and then it got to the point where Vanilla Ice couldn't even book a show. But let's take a look at Prince B, the head rapper of PM Dawn. Prince B was PM Dawn. Prince B was a good rapper, and he was a decent singer. He was talented. He had dreadlocks. All these. See, back then, if a rapper had dreadlocks, he's either like super conscious or really hardcore. I think KRS-One at one point had dreadlocks. Das EFX had dreadlocks. Mad Lion, even though Mad Lion is more reggae. The Boot Camp Clique, a lot of their members had dreadlocks. The Rockness Monster, Big Sean, and so forth. But Prince B, he had dreadlocks, and he was kind of considered like a soft type rapper. Now every rapper has dreadlocks and so forth. Having dreadlocks don't mean anything. Doesn't mean that you could be a trap rapper with dreadlocks, or you could be emo rapper with dreadlocks, and so forth. And then listening to PM Dawn's music, I'm like, yeah, man, they was onto something. And PM Dawn, even though they were sort of crossover and pop, their music was deep. It's just that, they wasn't like shallow rappers that talked about their jewelry and they wasn't on that. They was kind of what people would call, fake deep or whatever. But I feel that they dropped some knowledge here and there and so forth. But the trend, it just proves that the hip hop in the 90s was the best. There hasn't been a rapper that came out in 1999, past 9, that I would consider original. Anything these rappers are doing, you go back to the 90s, even 80s, somebody has done it. And it's not to say that I hate all new rappers. I like some of them, I like Kambata, Kambata, check him out. Kambata is one of my favorite dudes. Kambatta. Kambata is the truth. And he's a newer rapper. And I also like Earth Gang. But that's all I want to say. Thanks for watching, and never stop learning.